Hey, good morning to everybody. Happy Sunday. It's Daryl here. It is bright and freaking early, man. It's 3 a.m. here in Connecticut on the East Coast. It's not even 3 a.m. It's 2:45 a.m. What's that mean? If you watch my channel, that means I found a story quick that I could relate to, and a story that I want to do in this video, and I got out here quick to do it, and that is the case today. Up until this morning, I had never heard of PLAYBOI CARTI. Okay, he is an Atlanta rapper, 28 years old. And just recently, I guess he doesn't give a lot of interviews. I've been trying to read up on him. I came on this story quick. I get up about 2 a.m. to start researching stories. If I'm going to talk about politics, music, actors, whatever, or my recovery. I've been clean and sober since 2006, October 23, just over 17 years, just for the record. And I came across this story very quick, and I got a lot in common to do with PLAYBOI CARTI, and it's not I can't sing, I can't rap, but man, we got something very big in common. I have to talk about this because this is one of the biggest, most memorable things that ever happened in my life. Okay, there's going to be a video down below. Back in September of 2022, PLAYBOI CARTI, this Atlanta rapper, got pulled over for speeding. I believe it was on the Atlanta I-85. It's in Atlanta. We'll just leave it at that. He was driving his Jeep, okay? And the video down below will show his arrest. And here's the thing. He was doing over 100, I think it was 133 miles an hour in a 55. Let's see, that's, I think it's close to 80 miles an hour over the speed limit. 70, 80 miles an hour over more than double. I think the cop says 3 times the speed limit or 2.5 times the speed limit. And I had something very similar happen to me. Okay, in this video, let me talk about this video. Let me talk about PLAYBOI CARTI first. Okay, look, I'm almost twice. I am twice this guy's age. You know, I'm going to be 58 years old. I can't believe I'm saying that, man. You know, if you're around my age, you know, where did the years go, man? I still feel like I don't feel like a 20 or 30-year-old, but I feel like I'm in my 40s. Anyway, you know, I used to listen to Rage Against the Machine. I still do. Aerosmith, Zeppelin, stuff like that. So this morning, I wanted to, you know, if I'm going to talk about PLAYBOI CARTI, I wanted to listen to some of his music, and I listened to Top. And honestly, I'm not gonna lie to you guys. I think it sucked. I did. And but Magnolia, a little better. You know, I'm not big. Obviously, I'm a 50-year-old Native American / Caucasian dude from Connecticut. You know, I'm not gonna be big on rap. I do like Tekashi 6ix9ine. I listen to any of his songs come up, man. I love his songs. Yeah, I know he's a rat and all that, but I you know, if you're talking rap, that's somebody I like. Let's see, who's that tall Eminem looking dude? What's his name? I can't remember his name now. He's going out with the movie star. Anyway, I listened to PLAYBOI CARTI's music this morning, and you know, if I'm going to be honest with you guys, it's not my cup of tea. You know, first of all, you know, I like some kinds of rap, you know, some songs I listen to, but it's just, I don't like his stuff. Anyway, he gets pulled over by this cop, and the cop, right off the bat, the cop tells him to put his hands out, show me your hands. You know, it's a whole different world than when I got busted. I got busted for doing 113 miles an hour on the Garden State Parkway in summer of 1985 in my 1973 Formula Firebird. I was doing 58 miles an hour over 55. I was going 113 miles an hour, and I had my buddy with me. This guy is, I still know this guy's number and everything today. I actually have a witness to this story. Okay, so let's talk about PLAYBOI CARTI first. The cop's not fooling around, because the cop. I'll get into what the cops told me back in 1985, but the cops told me basically, they said they set up a roadblock for me. I'll get into that in a second. And but they didn't tell me to put my hands out the window. They pulled me out of the car with the PLAYBOI CARTI. He put his hands out the window, and they asked if he had any guns or bombs, drugs, or anything like that. And the cop asked for an excuse while he was still sitting in the car. And I got to hand it to Playboy Carti, because he really tries. He really tries to come up with an excuse. He says, you know, he's stressed out about family business, and he lives in Bushnell or Bush Park or Bush something or Bush Mill, and he's trying to get to the airport. And you know, he can't really put together a story. You can tell he's trying to bull. He's trying to bull the cop, but it's not working. And the cop was angry. I'll tell you what the cop said to me. These were New Jersey State Police that got me. Okay, so they put him in the back of the car, and I'll be honest, the video, I'll put it right on top down below, his arrest, Playboy Carti, and then I'll put his songs below that. And the first 5 minutes of the video is good. I just kind of skipped through the next. It's a 55-minute video, and the last 50 minutes of it are just him sitting in the back of the cop car, basically. You know, just to so you guys don't waste your time. Okay, so now his lawyer is saying the charges are going to get dropped. I mean, I wish I had a lawyer for my arrest. And they took him in the cop car, and they took him to jail. And that's basically it. Okay, with me, it was 1985. I was with my buddy. He was on break from Syracuse University. We were in my 1973 Formula Firebird, functional ram air hoods, scoops induction, a 400 4-barrel bored 30 over. That's a Trans Am, big block V8 Trans Am engine, rebuilt in this car. This car was ungodly fast. The original speedometer went up to 160 miles an hour. And back then, not a lot of speedometers went up that high. And like I said, it was rebuilt. It was a beautiful car. I'll use it on the thumbnail. I still dream about this car. The hood, like I said, was a functional ram air, meaning it sucked the air into the carburetor. It had the pans underneath that connected to the carburetor, dual exhaust, I had big General tires on it, and we got the car up to about 125. You know, I just bought the car a few months earlier. We were going down to Six Flags in New Jersey, summer 1985. I was 21 years old, and I had slowed down for about 15 minutes. You know, I slowed back down to about 70, and I see a cop with lights on behind me. I get pulled over in the back of my car. The Firebird's a very small car. It's me and my buddy and all of our camping gear in the back. And in the camping gear, I started doing drugs back then. And I had a whole bunch of pills and stuff, all stuff back there. I had about 3 cases of beer back there. He didn't find that stuff. They didn't find that stuff, thank God. Okay, so I get pulled over. And the cop comes up to the window. He pulls me out. He's not saying anything. He's licensed, registration, insurance, get out of the car. He frisks me against the car, pats me down. He puts me in the back of the cop car. Okay, I'm sitting in the back of his cop car, and I could see the radar blinking in the front seat, and it's blinking 113. And I actually said this to him. I said, dude, I swear to God, I said, dude, tell me that's in kilometers per hour. You know, please tell me that's not miles per hour, because back then we were switching over. There was talk that we were going to switch over to the metric system. Seriously, but I was being a wise ass. And he said no. He said no. You were going 58 miles an hour over the speed limit. As I'm sitting in the back of the car, other cop cars, other state cops who came up the road, and they stopped on the other side, and they go like this, and he goes like this, and then another one comes up like this. About 4 cop cars come up while I'm sitting in the back of the car. And I'm like, what's that all about? And he says, we actually set up roadblocks going all the way down the Garden State Parkway at the exits in case you tried to get off. He says, because when we catch somebody going this fast on the highway, we don't know if they robbed it. He actually said this to me. We don't know if you robbed a bank or what you did. You know, so they had roadblocks set up going down the Garden State Parkway for me. Okay, I got 2 tickets. I got one for reckless driving, and I'll tell you how I went to. I'll tell you about that in a second. And I got another one for going for going 58 miles an hour over the speed limit. I drove away that day. I still went camping. They did not take me to jail back then. Why? I guess the laws were different back then. I actually drove away from a reckless driving charge. Swear on the Bible. I had to go back to court. I had to drive back down to New Jersey about, I don't know, it was probably about 7 or 8 days later. And I go to this small township in New Jersey. I go before the judge, and there's a microphone there. And he says, "How fast were you going, son?" And I go, 113. And he says, "What? Excuse me, son, what did you say? Speak up." And I said, 113. And the judge just snapped. And I got like a 15-minute lecture. And I actually said this to the judge. He said, the judge says, "You got reckless driving?" And I started arguing with the judge that I was going in a straight line. I wasn't driving recklessly, and that did not go over well with the judge. He explained to me that just driving 113 miles an hour is reckless in and of itself. And you don't have to be swerving to get reckless, So that was a big mistake. So right there, he says, "Bailiff, take his license." And the bailiff goes, "He's from Connecticut. He's not from New Jersey." And back then, they didn't have any interstate laws with driving. And so the judge was kind of ticked off because he wanted to take my license right on the spot as I was standing in that courtroom. And he said this. He says, "If we catch you driving from this second on, you're going to be your butt's going to go to jail. You're going to be you're going to get locked up." And I had to drive home. My car was in the parking lot. He told me if I was driving from that second on, I had to go out and get in my car, and it gets worse. Okay, so I go out in the parking lot, and I was using back then, and somehow I saw another kid, a young guy in there, and we start talking, and it turns out this young guy tells me that his father is a mob boss. And this was before Goodfellas. This was before all that New Jersey, that show on HBO, The Sopranos. It was before all that. The Sopranos didn't even exist during that. This was the real deal. And we smoke a joint out in the parking lot before I get in the car and drive back to Connecticut illegally. So we're standing there puffing, and this guy's telling me, he says, "Yeah, my dad runs is part of a crime family." He didn't say it in those words, but he says, "You wouldn't believe this house I live in." He says, "We got all these big vases and stuff and statues and everything." He's describing his house to me. And like I said, this was in 1985. So this was, there was a Godfather back then. But, this was all, I was like, wow, because, I didn't know there was, mobsters in New Jersey. And he tells me about a vase. He says, "My dad's got a vase at home." He says, "It's a huge vase, or vase or whatever." And he says, "That thing's filled with keys of Coke." He says, the whole bottom it's filled. He says, "Dude, you got to come over sometime." As we're puffing out there. Now he could have been full of it, but I don't think he was. I really don't. So we finished up the J. I got my car, and I drove home uneventfully. And it was $150 for the speeding ticket, and it was $150 for reckless driving. And I could not drive in the state of New Jersey. I probably still can't drive in the state of New Jersey. I don't know if that ever ended, to be honest with you guys. And that's the story. I had to share that with you. I swear on the Holy Bible, I swear to God on my father's grave, every word of that is true. Like I said, I actually have a witness. My friend Andrew Steele, who went to Syracuse University, was sitting there the whole time. And my friends all know this story. 100% every word of it is true, including the mob figure's son and everything. All right. Good luck to Playboy Carti on his speeding charge. I know how it feels, brother. All right. You guys have a good Sunday.